If you hear some thumping noises, there's a lizard outside the window that the cat is rather aggressively going after. Well, obviously today's program primarily consists of working on the stagecoach. Man, I think it's time to move over to the horses, but I just know I'm going to wind up digging around looking for that missing part. And how a part that big can just disappear. But the worst part is, well, the 3 parts are four. There are 4 lights. It's kind of bugging me. If that's the kind of thing that bugs you, kudos. Life ain't so bad. We finally settled on a name. It was actually a name Andy had for those stories on Aurora, and it's the Aurora Files. Very X-Files. But Andy also made some beautiful logos, and anyway, you guys will see that stuff once we get them up and running. And I'm thinking I could probably finish off the swordfish today too. But, you know, it's funny. You work towards completion on a project, and pacing can be a thing. You know, around the 90% mark, you can start getting that sort of la 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 la, and it kind of starts drifting to the back burner and doesn't get finished, which is a danger. And then one day you walk in and go, oh, I got to finish that. Why is there dust on it? Or, which I'm more inclined to do, is you start hurrying up. You're near the finish, and like, yeah, okay, just, you know, sort of, I've got to learn to pace myself. The decals on the Claude, I had sprayed them with a reasonably heavy coat of clear coat to make sure they didn't disintegrate. And even though those decals were made, what, 63, 64, so 40, 56 years, if I can do any math, 56 years ago, they were still in surprisingly good condition. A couple of them didn't have a lot of tack on them and had to use the micro set to get them to, on them. But still, I just couldn't believe they'd lasted that long. But there was a film around them. I had to trim them out. And it wasn't the regular film. And I don't know if it was, because you could see the film line where the decals, you know, that film line that you can see. I don't know if it was I've never had clear coat leave a film that you had to cut with scissors. Oh, she's going bananas. And lizards on the outside of the window, just one little tall for her. A little cat brain is switching on to attack mode. But anyway, I've never had clear coat leave a film so thick I had to cut it. But there you go. But anyway, it's a neat little airplane. And you know, you go to the air shows, you see all these rebuilt aircraft. Some are virtually made from scratch. There are at least 3 Japanese Zeros that were made from the ground up in, I believe, in Russia for collectors. And then, of course, there's the one out of Planes of Fame that has a Pratt & Whitney engine. And I think it's the only one that has a Sakai engine. The rest will have Pratt & Whitney engines on them. And, of course, except for that, I think it's a silver oil ring around the front of the cylinders. You can't really tell. But there are a couple of Zeros out there that were largely pattern planes. Somebody found a wrecked Zero and just essentially used it as a pattern to make a new one. Now, anyway, what I was getting at is that some of these airplanes have been essentially built from scratch. I think one guy built a P-6 Hawk biplane effectively from scratch, and just as astonishes me at both the skills and the drive of people. Because when you think about what goes into building even a single-seat airplane, that's incredible. And Well, anyway, they they built these airplanes, but no one has built something like the Claude, like the A5M, because it's not one of the famous planes, and I would think it would be one of the more straightforward ones to build. That would be a cool thing to take to air shows and stuff. Except that, to be honest, I'm so big I probably couldn't fit in the thing. If you've been inside most military equipment, submarines, tanks, planes, there's not a lot of room in them to begin with, even when they're built for an American. You get one made for, a 1945 standard size Asian male, or really just any person in the 1940s, and it's a heck of a squeeze for a modern person. We're bigger than our grandparents on average. When I had my Jeep, I had a 1943 Willys MB, and my brother was always adamant, it's not Willys, it's Willis. Anyway, now of course I'm overweight, but still, when I sat in the thing, I mean, it was all I could do to squeeze it, and that's an open top Jeep. The seat does not adjust, and that's all you'll notice on when they made the M151. It has a much longer step in, and the seat's further back, because basically they made it for another generation of Americans that have gotten bigger and taller. But another reason the Willys has such a tight fit, it might have even been uncomfortable for people in the day, is because the military put these real tight dimensions on it so that they'd be easier to ship. So that had a lot to do with it also, I'm sure. I read the book All American Wonder about the development of the Jeep, and it truly is a marvel. The Jeep and the Sherman tank are both marvels in their own way. And I've joined the Chieftain Nick Moran's school of thought that the Sherman is probably the best tank of the war, not in any single thing, but because it could do everything competently, and in all these different theaters of war, in the Arctic, in the desert, in the jungles. And there was so much about that tank that was so well thought out. They'd had something besides that opposed engine, they could have given it a lower silhouette, which is one of its weak points. But I've been in I don't think I've ever been in a Sherman, but I've been in a modern, an M60, M48 Patton, and there's actually, we have those bulbous turrets which give them high silhouettes, but there is a little bit of room in there. Of course, there wasn't any ammo or food or clothing storage when I was in there. It was just the tank. And it's just like with this shed. It's amazing how fast space gets gobbled up. Well, anyone who's got it's got a model stash has realized how fast they run out of shelf space. 3D space, an interesting concept. And first time I toured a submarine, oh man, it's gonna be one of them mornings. I was amazed how tight it was, and then I went to Chicago and toured that German U-boat. Oh man, that was tight. It's one thing to be in an airplane, and I've sat in a Mustang, and I mean my arms were pinned. That cockpit's so narrow, but you're in that for a few hours. In a submarine, you're living in that thing. And when I'm building models, I sometimes think about that. Oh, the cat's opening the door. Oh, the day they grow opposable thumbs, we're in trouble. And when I model U-boats, I'm always, you can't help but just think about that. And modeling, really, in a lot of ways, submarines are very easy to build because they tend, especially modern submarines, they tend to be one color, very few markings, and the kits are pretty straightforward. Just like something like the F-117 Stealth is usually a pretty straightforward build. But it seems like the older the aircraft, the more angles and the harder they are to build. then the more challenging, and because like World War II, they had all these flamboyant paint schemes, and you get World War I, you get in the rigging, and God, don't even get me started on the lozenge pattern for German aircraft. Oh, geez. That's one thing. That's why they make decals for that. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sure somebody out there has hand painted the lozenge pattern, and if you have, good on you. But there's no way I'm going after this a paint scheme that complex. Which brings us up to QOTD, the question of the day. What is the most complex pattern you've ever painted on a model? Painted yourself, not decals. Now I'm thinking, because I don't know what the most complex, but of course we've done some camouflage, I've done camouflage patterns and stuff like that, but usually they're 2 or 3 colors. The most complex pattern, there's a thinker. I don't know. Huh. I'll have to think about it. I really don't know. Well, guys, you have a great day. And, quick note, I'll probably get one out this evening, but tomorrow is my anniversary, 15th wedding anniversary. And I'm on my, and for those who are curious, I married my second wife first, so this is my first and only marriage. I married late in life, but so there probably won't be anything. There might be one, and I might get off a morning coffee because, I'm gonna let the wife sleep in. And then we have, then my birthday's the next day, but we have family coming over. So I don't know if I'll be getting anything out over the weekend either. So they're gonna probably be through Sunday. So the next few days, you may have to go through Max's models withdrawal. And then again, I may be able to crank something out, but family first. So it may stagnate my working on the models too, which I'm lucky. I'm a guy who really does love his in-laws. They're great people. So I enjoy having them over. So little Max's models vacation, but we'll be back soon. You guys take care, and but don't turn off that alarm bell, because I may get something out. And I got 1 or 2 other projects I'm working on, which possibly might be able to get up in the meantime. Just depend on how things go, but no commitments. So y'all have a good day and model on. No, sweetie, I'm not going to open that door and let you in the yard. You know what happened last time.